Aliyah Boston didn't just end a possession in Los Angeles. She ended doubt, she ended the pattern. She ended a season-long problem in one sharp, decisive grab that forced a timeout and flipped the temperature inside the arena. It was the kind of moment that tells you everything you need to know about Indiana's night. They weren't hoping to be saved. They were ready to do the saving. What Boston said after the game landed because she had just spent 40 minutes proving it. Confidence. Trust. Next woman up. Those weren't buzzwords tossed to a microphone. They were fingerprints over every loose ball, every rotation, every hit that didn't get whistled. 22 points, 11 boards, a career high, 6 steals, 4 assists. A game-sealing read, with 1.9 seconds left when Los Angeles tried to conjure one last miracle, and she simply took it away. The Fever didn't win because the game became pretty. They won because they made pretty irrelevant. This is what resilience looks like when it stops being a slogan. Half the guard room in street clothes. Caitlyn Clark on the sideline. Sophie Cunningham out. Colson and Aari McDonald unavailable. For voices, for ball handlers, for pressure valves removed from a game that already carried playoff weight. That's a blueprint for panic. Indiana chose something else. They chose to breathe. They chose to trust whoever was left. No matter how the rotation had to be stitched together. When your roster looks like patchwork, you don't hunt for rhythm. You hunt for survival, possession after possession, and you let belief do the rest. Belief had a face too. 2 of them, actually both, blackened around the eyes. Lexie Hull walked out with the kind of bruises that make people wince, then played like she'd forgotten they were there. She chased, she collided, she dived, she bothered. The makeup could hide the marks from a distance. It couldn't hide what they meant. Show up even when it hurts. If she could, then so could everyone else in red. Across from them, a team that had owned the matchup all year. 3 meetings, 3 losses. All hovering in 9th, 2 games back, waiting for Indiana to flinch. 5 games left. 4 losses in 5. Everything said, this was the night the Fever would bend and break. Instead, they bent and found space to move. They matched aggression. They erased runs just as they were forming. They turned the game into an argument about effort and refused to lose the argument. And then the game found Odyssey Sims. This was supposed to be a night for triage, not a coronation. A 31-year-old veteran off the bench does not show up on the first page of the scouting report, especially with Kelsey Mitchell grinding through an off night. But the ball kept finding Sims, and she kept turning moments into answers. A 3 when the lead felt slippery. A runner when the lane opened for half a breath. A lefty layup in traffic when momentum needed a handhold. 21 points is a number, the timing is the story. Every time Indiana needed poise, she gave it. Every time LA's crowd tried to swell, she punctured it. She even tore a possession away in the open floor, like the ball belonged to her more than anyone else. The shot that mattered most didn't celebrate. It clarified, 13.6 seconds left. A floater she's practiced for years. Dropped from that quiet pocket where touch lives. It was clean and final, and exactly what you shoot when you trust your hands more than you fear the moment. The building went muffled. Sims turned, composed, and ran back without theatrics. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. She didn't have to say it because she'd already said it with her feet, her handle, her breath. Boston was the anchor and the echo. High-low finishes. Soft hooks over length. A chase-down denial at the rim that yanked the air out of the Sparks' lungs. Hands everywhere, reading passing angles like subtitles. And when LA tried to frantically thread one more prayer through the teeth of the defense, she rose, reached, and erased it. No scramble, no second chance. Just a superstar closing a door. That door had been slammed in Indiana's face all summer by this same opponent. Not tonight. Not with the locker room choosing the hard way on purpose. The words after the buzzer were simple. Next woman up. They carried because they were real. This roster has been tested, stretched, and rearranged. Players joined late. Roles shifted midstream. Minutes changed with injuries that wouldn't let go. And still, the thread held because the thread was character. Women who care about winning. Women who care about one another. Women who sacrifice. You could hear it in the coach's voice afterward. Dougly, hard-fought, imperfect. Exactly the kind of win that belongs in a season's foundation. There was more in the margins. Aerial powers, bringing spark off the bench and pushing the pace like the clock owed her something. Kelsey Mitchell, not in rhythm, still drawing defenders and allowing the floor to tilt deflections that became steals. Offensive rebounds that became second life in tight minutes. Little plays that don't make highlight reels but turn scoreboards by degrees until the buzzer arrives and the story is different than you expected. The standings took notice. 6th for now. Cushion widened, pressure redistributed. A playoff berth doesn't feel theoretical anymore. It feels like a direction, and somewhere, just off screen, the question everyone keeps whispering has a new tone. When is Caitlyn Clark finally back? 17 games missed is a lifetime when every night carries weight. But practice jerseys and shoot-around movements mean hope isn't blind anymore. The balance matters health. First, always, but a return flips the geometry of the floor. 19-8 before the injury weren't just numbers. They were the tempo that freed Boston, the gravity that cleaned Mitchell's looks, the pace that made defenses choose between bad and worse. What last night proved is that the Fever don't need a rescue to matter. They needed a mirror. They found it in Los Angeles. They found it in bruises that didn't blink, in a veteran whose calm cut through the noise, in a center who treats closing time like it's personal. They found it in the way a huddle talks when the game is heavy, in the way a bench rises as one when a runner drops, in the way a locker room breathes together when the hallway outside falls quiet. This wasn't about style points. It wasn't about getting back to pretty basketball. It was about learning how to close under fire, how to take a game that keeps threatening to tilt the wrong way and tilt it back with will. That learning doesn't vanish when the rotation fills. It travels. It hardens. It makes a team dangerous in late possessions when bracket stakes turn every pass into a decision and every cut into a gamble. So remember the sequence that began with a scramble and ended in sure hands. Remember a floater that didn't flinch. Remember 2 black eyes and a refusal to sit. If you're looking for identity, it's right there. The Fever didn't ask for the stage they're on. They earned it by refusing to fold when folding would have been easy. If you're pumped about this team, drop Big Fever win in the comments. What was your turning point? PlaySims, floater, Boston's steal, or Hull's grit? Who's your X factor when the playoffs tighten? Like the video, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss a moment. Click the next breakdown on your screen. Will be there when the ball's in the air again.